Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a JCG Aggro Swordcraft deck. We've covered Aggro Swordcraft in the past, but this one, while being reasonably similar, does have a fair few more neutrals in its variant. Also, it's running only a single round table. A few people had asked me a question about that regarding my last time I ran this deck, and yeah, I personally prefer to run 3 round table myself, mainly for consistency. So turn 6 I can basically guarantee the round table after an Albert and deal massive damage. Although, like people have pointed out, when you're only running 3 Juliet anyway, you know, it can end up being a dead card. So maybe a compromise and maybe go for a 2 of, or the 1 of is fine. Either way, this was completely pulled from the JCG event page where they had all the decks. So very interesting. I think the Cather's really an interesting one to add to this deck. I didn't actually get to pull this card off in particular, mainly because I'd out-aggroed them way earlier than this card became relevant, so that's one thing. But having 2 of it, I can definitely see where it fits in. It fits in about the same spot actress Feria does, really quite nicely. Everything else is aggro-orientated except for Imperial Strix, which you are trying to play on curve on 4, so getting that is kind of important. Otherwise, really, you're just being aggressive. You're pushing your damage, you're making sure to use your Chronogenesis Masters and stuff appropriately, and making sure that Albert can hit face whenever possible. So, talking about that, let's get right into the game. Okay, game 1. We have Portal. Portal was reasonably common when I was playing this deck, which was surprising. I think I had about 3 Portal matches and absolutely demolished them all, so I decided to take the best one I could think of out of these and throw it out into the videos. So we start off with a pretty good hand, double quick blader, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, they've fallen anyway. 2 damage straight off the bat's pretty nice, especially when you consider how much you can deal later, especially getting that curve with 1 Princess Juliet and an Impartial Strix. Basically the ideal hand to run with. I get to ram the 1 damage to face, I get to throw down the 2 drop next turn, pinging for another 1 damage, and if we want, throw the quick blader to face as well, giving us 3 damage turn 2. That couldn't get much more aggressive, honestly. I mean, I suppose if you had something like Razor Core go down, you could deal just 1 more damage in blood, but I think for a sword deck, that was pretty good for an opener. I think the only thing better would have been to be able to throw down 3 quick bladers, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. So Princess Juliet does get to strike face 4-2. We're not too worried about our opponent trading with us. That's pretty much what we want. We want to get that storm damage out and force them to trade. 4 is going to probably be the Impartial Strix. I mean, it's way too good not to play, especially when you consider the evolve on turn 2. Sorry, turn 4, I was meaning going second. Anyway, when you go second, Impartial Strix becomes much stronger, being able to drop it on 4 on curve, evolve it for a 7-7 on turn 4. Almost as good as an Atomy on 4, although Atomy is a little better when you consider its stat line, but this is much easier to play than an Atomy deck at the moment, so... And considering I think Atomy did rotate, so obviously you're not going to be seeing that in rotation. So Ancient Artifact is going to ping off this 7-5, pretty nicely with double Ancients. Kind of expected that after seeing the Hamlin come down and then 1 Ancient Artifact. Of course you're going to see a second one. But we follow up nicely with the Chronogenesis Master. Chronogenesis Master is basically perfect. Ambush is really hard for something like Portal to clear. And with the evolve line, we can evolve 1 and then evolve 1 next turn for 9 damage on board. Which, when you factor in quick blader, it's going to be a lot more damage than anyone would really expect. Especially since we got a second Chronogenesis Master, so we get another 5 damage off that. So that's lethal when you count everything we have on board. We actually have lethal, so all we need is for the opponent to not be able to clear these 2 ambush followers next turn. Plus, they do have to be forced to clear the 5-4, 4-3, and 1-1 anyway. So for them to be able to do that is going to be enough of a struggle. Should have been quicker. Especially since they can't hit these ambushes with anything they have. I accept defeat. Which ends up giving us the victory. Okay, game 2 we have Rune. Rune, not too surprising. While still not as common as it was in the past, it is still reasonably common. I think I've fought in the last 30 games approximately 5 Daria decks, so That's pretty good, honestly. I would say that means the deck is definitely on the decline when it comes to popularity, and people are definitely running other things. I've seen a big influx in Blood, Sword, and Forest, and I think that's because those are really good at countering the Dara variants of decks. Honestly, this isn't too bad. Actress, works out. It trades with the Golem nicely. We have another one in our hand, and we can set up Goblin next turn if we want to. Goblin is really nice for drawing out some of your cards that you just want to have, whether it is just another normal Goblin, or whether it is an Actress. You can pretty much get anything you need with that. So we go for the trade. They go for the trade, the 2-1 into the 1-2. We send the 2-2 to the face and set up the Goblin for a future trade, sorry. That's what I was aiming to say. Then we have a pretty nice turn 4 with the Strix coming down again. Strix works really well on 4, basically every time I've got that out on 4, I've consistently won a game. It's been very odd that I haven't won playing that on 4, although it isn't the only way to win. It's definitely just a big help to have. Especially when they are wind blasting it for 7, God. Those days are the days that you cry. Koichi Master coming down nicely. Getting that nice little bit of damage in. Unfortunately, Grand Summoning kind of stalls my plans a little bit, which really sucks. Grand Summoning just so limiting in what it allows me to do now. I'm basically forced to throw stuff to the board until it sticks, so Goblin, Actress, Evolve, allows us to trade into that 2-4, remove the 3-3 with the 3-2 and deal 4 more damage to their face, while leaving us with a reasonable board. Now, of course, we still have Albert and 2 Evolves, so if we can push this game into a little bit of a later section, Albert's going to have a lot of value. So, of course, Golem Assaults, not too bad. Guardian Golem, though, gonna be a pain to get round. Just kind of unfortunate. And making the best play isn't something that I did quite well last turn, so let's see what we can do now. We have the Happy Pig, Quick Blader, and Wise Merman. Really not that impressive. Although Albert is only going to be a couple of turns off, I do decide to trade the 2-2 and the 1-1. Just holding on to the Evolves because I know I have a couple of Alberts and I have the Princess Juliets. Really don't want to waste those yet, especially since my opponent is pressuring pretty hard. Of course, Conjure Golem again. They're really pushing these spells, but we haven't really seen much else from them yet. So Fallen's actually half decent. Getting that 1 damage ping could be the difference between us winning and losing now. Especially since it is so close.
I am a fiction and a falsehood.
Wizard of Oz, not a big surprise. Mutagenic Bolt though, pain in the ass to deal with, especially when you consider what they could draw. Magic Missile, basically the perfect card to clear this out. And they play a second Mutagenic Bolt. I'll never understand that one. I think maybe they just wanted the spell boosts, which is probably exactly what they wanted, thinking about it. So Albert does get to come down with the Evolve. It's 10 damage. With Lyriel, we've actually got lethal, so provided we don't somehow die next turn, we should be fine.
A little blood won't stop me.
We get to see a nice bit of damage in.
So this is the end.
We take way more than I needed. We're literally 1 off lethal now, and we actually have game with 2 cards, which is great. Unfortunately for them, they didn't know that. Lucky for me, it worked out in my favor, being with 1 health. So lucky, 1 spell would have killed me. So I'm really happy with how that played out. And last but not least, to show off this aggro deck's power, we have a Forest matchup. Forest has been known to be reasonably aggressive, so pitting 2 aggro decks against each other is usually the best way to show who's on the top. And honestly, Forest is actually a really interesting match to play, just because they can be a variety of Forest decks, whereas Sword usually you're seeing 1 of 2, mid-range or aggro, and in most cases now it's an aggro Sword deck, so I guess that's the case. We start off okay. Wise Merman, not the best 1-drop to play on 1, but it's definitely a 1-drop, so it gets played. Other than that, Happy Pig works out quite well as well, being able to throw it to the board, recovering 1 health while also at the same time setting up a 2/2 body. Works in my favour. Elf Twins Assault though, horrible card, annoys me a little bit because it does so well. And Angel of Word, really nicely. 1 damage to their face and sets up another body, so it's all we can really hope for at this point. Set up bodies, throw things to the board, win, that's basically it. Again, Strix comes down. I didn't realise every game I was going to show today had Strix come down on 4. Like, that really shows how good that card is on 4 for an aggro deck at the moment. In particular, neutral aggro decks, or more neutral focused aggro decks. Because I wouldn't really say Sword necessarily on a whole has gone the whole neutral route. It's more taking advantage of the neutral burn damage and neutral bodies, while at the same time running all of the Storm that Sword normally would. So, really interesting one. So this forest is really interesting. It looked like they're aiming for some sort of more defensive neutral forest build, which would make sense if they're going for something like Beauty and the Beast. So we can kind of think about that and realize what they're probably going to be playing next turn. Cassiopeia, kind of expected it. I mean, if they are going for a more defensive play, they're going to be clearing me out. Of course, I still really wanted to play that Kunoichi, because if they didn't, my aggressiveness would easily have overpowered them. Although this turn gets a little more interesting. I mean, we have to evolve the Actress. There's really no point in evolving the Lyriel. The 1 damage ping is nice and all, but the Actress giving us 2 potential damage to the board and allowing us to trade favourably is just too good to pass up. Especially if we can follow up with a second Actress. And with Beauty and the Beast drop, things get even more interesting. So we can't really do much to Beauty and the Beast itself, just because it is so difficult to remove. But when we can be so aggressive, we can mostly just push the board really easily. So we can drop an Actress to the board, we gain another 2 damage on top of this Goblin and this Lyriel, making it a lot harder to remove. Actress is also going to be difficult to remove. Although Lyriel didn't get its ping, it still worked out pretty favourably, especially with a 3/2 on board. So they're pretty much forced to either win or just purely go face, and unfortunately not quite enough to win, so in my favour. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Of course, the deck list for this deck will be in the link in the description below. It's been fun. I mean, it's definitely not the best deck currently. It suffers a lot in the Daria matchup. While not being impossible to win, it's very difficult to clear out big threats and consistently deal aggro damage without just straight out dying. So if you find yourself in a lot more of an aggro heavy meta, this isn't too bad, and it does compete well. It's just probably not what you want to use this week. Maybe in a week's time this deck will flourish and we'll probably look at it again then, but till then, I'll catch you guys next time. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see ya.